Hello there, Croeso and welcome. I'm Shadow Lummox and here today I am playing Curse of the Dead Gods, one of the PlayStation Plus games we were given for May, and this is a roguelike game. It's a game where you're going to do multiple runs and it's going to change just a little bit every single time. And in this game we're explorers into an ancient temple and we get cursed and have to do continuous runs through the temple to eventually fight our way out. And what I'm going to show you here today is to go through just show you how the game plays. I'm not going to go through all the controls and all that sort of stuff. There's a tutorial that will show you everything, and you'll see in the top right corner you got these tokens that you'll pick up and they'll carry over between your runs, and you'll use these to unlock different things. These are blessings, these are bonuses that will help you during your runs. They can give you extra stats or bonuses when certain things happen. I'm going to change one here so I can get more damage whenever I take damage, which is something that happens quite often because my timing isn't that great. I enjoy these sort of games, I'm just not that good at them, and it does hold me back a bit. You got them weapons you can unlock, the weapon altars as well, which give you a choice of starting weapons before each run, and you can upgrade these so you can get better weapons. You can upgrade so you can get more weapon altars, so you get more choice before you go into a run. But you'll always start off with a sword and a pistol as your primary and secondary weapon. And then as we go to make our way into the temple here, as you can see, I've already started to do certain stuff here, completed at least the first runs on all the different types of temple. You got the Temple of the Jaguar, the Temple of the Serpent, and the Temple of the Eagle. And these will have different enemy types, different layouts, different traps, different things to look out for. So you'll at least know the sort of theme of the level that you're going into. And when you go in, you'll be presented with this map, different routes you can take, and which rooms you'll start with. I start with a weapon room. I've got one of those blessings that give me gold as I go in, so I can go and purchase a new weapon straight away if I want. And then this is the basic layout then of the rooms. You'll go in, there'll be some enemies to fight. There'll be traps around, and you can use the traps to kill the enemies. And you see, as you get combos, you get these things called greed kills, and you'll get more gold the higher that greed kill multiplier is. But if you take any sort of damage, that gets nullified, and there's a timer as well, so if you wait too long between hits and kills, you're going to lose out. And you got a dodge and a parry. I changed the button configurations a few times to find something that was more comfortable for me, so I won't actually go into the buttons for this game. But you've got a set dodge, a parry. But first, once you've defeated the enemies, you'll then unlock the altar for the room. It won't always be in the same place, and you can miss it, so be aware of that. And then you'll be given a choice of things that you can purchase, and in this case are weapons, and they're secondary weapons, which will be your two-handed weapons. And in this case I go for the bow. You can either pay with gold or you can pay with blood, and if you see in the bottom right corner there's a corruption meter, and as that goes up you'll eventually start getting curses, and these can either hinder or even sometimes help your run. They're completely random what you go for. Here I got a choice of two rooms, and I decided to go for the attributes. These can increase your health, your damage, and your loot find. You don't always have to go the main way. There'll always be little secondary rooms that you can go into. maybe with chests, things that you can find. I can make a complete meal of this. One of the other things to be aware of in this game is that they got a light and dark mechanic. So you see I've got my torch out here, and when the torch goes away, we're in darkness, and I take more damage when I'm in darkness, and I take less damage when I'm in light, and I deal more damage when I'm in light as well. If you see at the bottom center of the screen, as we deal with this relic, you can see a symbol there that shows whether you're in light and dark. And when you go into a room, you see the first thing I'll try and do is light one of these braziers, so I'm fighting in an area of light. If I go out too far, they'll consider me in the dark, but for the purpose of this fight then, it means I can be a little bit more carefree. And it is one of the tricks to managing your run through the game, keeping yourself in the light. And you see I want to go for the 2 attributes here, but I don't have enough gold, so I can use some blood to pay for that, to get the attribute bonuses. But as I go into this next room, I'm going to get a curse. I'm actually going to get 2 curses because I took so much damage, corrupted damage from the previous enemies. So we'll see here. First curse I get is sulfurous barrels. The explosive barrels have an increased explosion radius. And then trap chests. Chests are sealed and will trigger an attack, and I must parry them to unblock them. But they also drop additional gear items. So there's a downside and an upside to that one, and the downside is I'm absolutely awful at parrying, as you'll see a few times in this run. But the bonus is okay. This is a healing area. You can heal yourself to gain a little bit of corruption, so there's always a bit of a balancing act you want to try and avoid. Having to go to those healing rooms if you can. There'll be ways to heal yourself as you play. Relics that can heal you if you use the environmental traps to kill enemies, something which I sometimes do. But I'm not too great at planning it out. So if you can see here, I've fought my way now into an area of darkness. So pick up a relic here. You can always take a relic, or you can offer it to the gods, and they'll either give you some gold, some health, or they'll take some corruption off. As you can see here, my parrying skills on display. I eventually get the timing right, so I can open this chest, and I'm presented with a new weapon. And I'm going to take this because I like the throwing weapons, mainly because I can keep at range of people. You can see my parrying and dodging skills aren't exactly top tier, so keeping myself at distance from enemies, very, very much something I am looking to do. And then in this chest I get a new secondary weapon. I'm going to replace the revolver with that. And when you use your secondary weapon, you'll use your stamina meter. You'll see it there just under my character. As I rolled there, I used a little blip of it. And you'll use a stamina bar every time you do a dodge, every time you use your secondary weapon, every time you use your two-handed weapon, and every time you use a finisher combo with your main weapon. But you can get stamina back just by standing still, and you can get stamina back through other relics and other items in the game. You see I go a bit nuts here with the explosive barrels, but what I ended up doing, without realising it, was destroying all the sources of light in the room. Which, well, it's not the way you want to do things, and this is something you've got to look out for as you're playing. So you see I see another explosive barrel, but decide not to trigger that one so I can fight in the light. But certain enemies do have attacks that will turn off the lights. It will extinguish them. Anyone that shoots those corrupted balls or do corrupted attacks will negate the light, and again adds a little twist to the game. So here we got an upgrade station where I can pay gold or corruption to upgrade a weapon. So I go to upgrade my main weapon, and it adds the secondary ability that it does more damage if my secondary weapon is a dagger, which it currently isn't, but gives me something to look out for, and it sort of helps me make my decision then for where I go for this next room. I go for a weapon room, hoping I get to be able to purchase some daggers, which will trigger that attack bonus on my main weapon. Even though upgrading it did increase the damage as well, it's always good just to trigger those secondary effects if you can. You see another little traps here that I start using to help me with these enemies. Always handy to use them if you can get into the habit of it. Sometimes though I end up triggering them without realising what I'm doing. Get a relic there for whips, which I am using, so I'll pick that up. And you've got to sort of make these decisions quite quickly. You'll be moving on, and once you've moved on you won't get the chance to come back and pick something you've missed. So pick everything up, even if it's something you don't want right then. Just use it to get gold or health or get rid of some corruption. And then here, unfortunately, no weapons that I need, but I have got, if you see on triangle, it says use favor. And if I do that, I'll get a fresh selection of things I can use in the shop. I do that and I find a new main weapon that is also a thrown weapon, but it gives me more damage when I'm in the light, and I don't have to worry about upgrading to a dagger. So I decide to offer blood because I don't have the gold, taking the risk of getting more curses. And if you get 5 curses, that final curse will be pretty much a game ender. I haven't actually got one yet, and I know there are challenges in the game where they want you to get that 5th curse and complete the game, but so far I haven't done that as of yet. I've tried to avoid it. You can see I'm on 3 curses now, and enemies now will be hidden while they're in the darkness, which means I can get easily surprised. And we come across here now, slightly bigger enemy than normal, than I've been normally facing. But with my new throwing daggers, just try and keep my range. So come across another weapon there, which I'll just leave for now. One of the things you may have noticed is that I've got dodge and pickup on the same button. That's just because that's how I like having the controller set up. It means I do come across situations where in the middle of a fight I'll try and pick something up, but it's no biggie. The game pauses anyway, so I'm not too fussed on that. And this was just a gold room. These rooms are pretty straightforward. They'll just have loads of gold for you to come pick up. So I forget once again that I've got a block every time I pick up chests. And I decide to use that just to get rid of a bit of corruption. I know I'm getting quite high on it. As you can see, by going in the inventory screen, you can see what relics you've picked up, how many relic slots you've got left to pick up, and what curses you've got. But I know I'm getting near to the end now, so I just want to limit the amount of corruption as I take on my 4th curse here, and this one was a new one on me. The temple can switch appearance at any time and turn into mirror mode. Wasn't quite sure what that meant, and didn't actually expect the temple to change, but that's exactly what it does. I decide not to go straight away for the exploding barrel. Learning my lesson from the first room, very rare for me to learn my lessons that quickly. To make sure that I can safely explode that barrel without destroying my source of light, which I need to get a bit more damage from my throwing weapon, my throwing daggers. And there we go. There's the first room change. The door that was normally there, now been switched around. So I'm just got to make my way through this new temple layout. These are pressure things which I forget momentarily how I should be attacking them, and it just roll constantly. And again, just another little bit of the map just so you can't go backwards, since the room changes as I get into a fight just to mess things up. Fortunately, I have got a curse on right now that does give me a bit more damage in the darkness, which is really handy for this fight because there was no source of light. I'm not using spears, so I'll just sacrifice that and get the gold, even though at this point I don't think I'm going to need it because I've just got one more altar here. I've got enough gold to get both upgrades, which is a bit of extra damage and a bit of extra treasure find, even though the treasure find isn't really necessary. You can see my stats there just above my health at the bottom left. But now we're going to head into the boss room. I have a little cheeky check there just to make sure that I didn't get a rare chance to get 2 altars from one room. But we're coming up now to the boss room of the very first run for the Temple of Jaguar. The bosses they'll have their set attack patterns. Best to learn them. Different strategies work best for different bosses. Range works particularly well for this one, but he does summon close combat minions and they can be an issue. But once you learn the patterns, it's fairly straightforward to do these fights, at least the first runs anyway. I suspect as you go through the game, these fights will get more damaging and more intense. But we finish off here, and just to show that the runs are pretty quick, it was about 15 minutes, get through, pick up some loot which I can use to upgrade future runs, and there we have it. So I just want to say diolch and thank you for watching.